How's it going, YouTube? Dr. Slacking here, the Slacking Doctor, and welcome back to something a little bit different again on the channel. Now, if you watched our last video, the first ever video I posted, that was the start of our Pokemon Fire Red Doctorlock. And at the end of that video, I said I would be doing some grinding. I'd have a grinding montage at the start of the next episode. I decided to change that a little bit. Instead, I'm going to do some grinding now, whilst I also talk to you about the new games, Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the sequels, as it were, to Pokemon Sun and Moon. I thought this would be an easier way to do grinding. If you were interested in watching the grinding for the other series, then please keep it on the screen and watch. If you just want to hear my thoughts about Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, then feel free to click off, just leave this tab open and listen to what I'm saying really. There will be some screenshots put on the screen over the grinding, hopefully from things from the trailer, but for the most part it's just going to be me grinding. And the grinding shouldn't be too exciting, as I'm planning on just grinding up against Hoppips. If you watch the first episode, the nature of the Nuzlocke means that we can't really battle anything too strong at this stage. So anyway, basically I wanted to talk about Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and I wanted to begin by talking about one of the things that's been really kind of stressed recently when it's been spoken about, which is the alternate timeline and alternate storyline. And these two things are kind of being blurred together. It's not exactly sure whether it is an alternate timeline or whether it's just a different story or how it all works. Is it a sequel? Obviously that would naturally have an alternate story because it's happened after. No one seems entirely convinced what they mean by this, or entirely certain, I should say, of what they mean by this. Now, I think that if what they're doing is going to tell us a different story entirely in the same region, so we're going to go back to Alola. Obviously, we're going to have the legendaries. I'm almost certain we're going to have Ultra Beasts, everything like that. But maybe it's different because we have now completely different characters. Maybe How isn't there. Maybe the rivals have changed, maybe your character's changed, maybe the region's the same, but the characters or the storyline is different. I think that could be interesting. But I think what's more likely is that the majority of it will stay as it were, but the Pokemon are going to be different. And I think that by putting it as an alternate timeline, that allows them to do that. So, for example, I think new Alola Pokemon are going to be added, new Alolan forms, rather than Alolan Pokemon, if that makes sense. So, like we had Alolan Vulpix, Alolan Sandshrew, etc. We're going to have, I think, my opinion is, probably either more Alolan Kanto Pokemon. So, I don't know if you remember, there were the Chinese leaks, if you saw those, that came out before Pokemon Sun and Moon, where they said we were going to get we're going to have a water type Arcanine, we were going to have a fighting type Alakazam, amongst some of the other Alolan forms, which actually did come true. I think that there must have been some truth to that rumour, because no one was expecting to have regional variants on Kanto Pokemon, and obviously that's what we got. So I think that we could see these other seemingly scrapped Alolan Pokemon introduced in this game. I think we could get a water type Arcanine, or we could get a fighting type Alakazam. That's my suspicion anyway. Obviously I don't know for sure, I'm just speculating. The alternative to that is that I wonder if we might get Alolan Johto Pokemon. So by putting it in an alternate timeline, or even as a sequel, what they could say is, for example, that Spinarak, Skarmory, Ledybird, these Pokemon from Johto that were present in Alola, maybe they say, oh, these Pokemon have only just got here. Maybe it's the same for Growlithe. Maybe it's the same for some of the other Pokemon that didn't get Alolan forms from Kanto. They can say, well, they only just got there in Sun and Moon. But in the sequels, or in this alternate timeline, they've been there for decades, for generations. And over that time period, they've evolved, they've adapted to the Alolan climate, just like Vulpix, Diglett, and the others did. Because all of the Alolan forms we got had in some way adapted to the differences of the Alolan region, and you could argue that any Pokemon species given time in a different place will also evolve. If you think about the way animals are, different islands, different places all produce different animals. So if you went back to Kanto in 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 1,000 years, however long you want after the original games are set, you would probably start to see that the Pokemon in Kanto would evolve to be different to how they were originally. And this is why I think that they're going to do that. I think they're setting this whole alternate timeline or alternate story up so that they can revisit either Sinnoh, as we all expecting Sinnoh remakes at some point, or I think first, maybe Kanto. And my reason for this is I think that they are going to bring a main series Pokemon game to the Switch. They've said that they will, and I think they will. I think that they're going to want to do that because for my generation, I'm a little bit older than perhaps some of you, but for my generation, my first game was Generation 1. I played I have Blue, my stepbrother had Red, we played through it as kids. My friends would I think buy a Switch if they thought they were going to get remakes of the original games. And I think that would be their biggest puller for the Switch. I think that would really drag people in. So I think what they're doing here, and I think maybe they're testing the water. I think maybe they're saying, hey, look, what would you feel like hardcore fans who have a 3DS, who, they're not going to bring anyone back to the franchise with these titles. So they're saying to their current fans, how would you feel if we gave you the same region but with different Pokemon? If we gave you Alola but with new Alolan forms, if we start to make that lore, if we start to make that canon, is that okay? And if they get a good reaction for that, I think we could see Kanto remakes on the Switch with new Pokemon in Kanto, with new variants in Kanto, and they could say, hey, look, it's just like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Time's passed, it's an alternate timeline, it's a parallel universe, however it is you wanna frame it. This is how we can rejuvenate and reintroduce those original games, pulling back the old fan base, keeping our current fans happy, because I feel like a lot of current fans, if it was just a straight up remake like I'm playing right now, like Fire Red, I think a lot of the current sort of people playing Sun and Moon on the 3DS might be disappointed. So I think this is a way for them to please everyone, and I didn't mean to say more damage here, sorry. I think this is it. That's what I suspect. It could be like a marketing tester, if you like, a way to test out this new idea. I'm not sure, of course, I'm only speculating, but and similarly, I think that could be why they could do Alolan forms for Johto Pokemon as well, because if they do that, it's another, those are kind of classic Pokemon that they can then keep introducing new Alolan forms, and it will keep us always guessing what's coming next. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, we had Megas, then we had, Gen 3 and Gen 1 starters got Megas, but then Gen 2 got skipped. What if Gen 2 now get Alolan forms? It always keeps us speculating. We never quite know, and that keeps the excitement going. And I think as well, one of the interesting things that not many people are really talking about from the Direct is everyone, and understandably so, everyone is super focused on the gameplay footage. Everyone is like, look, he's got a Wingull flying over his head. Maybe that means we're gonna have Pokemon following us now. Or there's an Alolan Meowth almost certainly in the trailer, and everyone's trying to zoom in on it and be like, is this a new Pokemon? Have they shown us a new Pokemon? When it's almost definitely an Alolan Meowth. I think what was more interesting, well, not more interesting, but just as interesting, which people aren't talking about, is that outside of the game footage, the sort of studio bit, if you like, where Masuda was talking, I'm pretty sure it was when Junichi Masuda was talking, behind him on the shelf, I think he has like a Solgaleo, a Lunala, an Alolan Diglett, Alolan Vulpix, things like this. All Alola exclusive Pokemon in like plushes on the shelves behind him. Sorry, I meant plushes, not the actual Pokemon, obviously. And then I think over his other shoulder, he has the Johto starters. And I remember watching it and thinking, they're so out of place, and not many people seem to be talking about this. Why are the Johto starters featuring in a room full of only Alolamons getting hyped for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? Surely, because everyone's been wanting something for the Alolan starters. They wanted Mega Evolutions, it didn't happen. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the Johto starters' time to get something. And what I think would be interesting about that is if they say gave them Alolan variants or Mega Evolutions, but I think Alolan variants would be more possible. What I'm confused about is kind of two things. One, how they would distribute those. So the only time we've ever had like 2 starters in a game, it's either been post game or given to you by Professor Sycamore in Kalos, or Yellow, where obviously you just got a Pikachu and you went out and caught everything. And Pikachu's been hyped up for these games, and I'm like, wouldn't it be crazy if we just started with a Pikachu again like Yellow, and then you could catch Alolan variants of the other starters? Now, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that it'll be introduced in a different way, but I think the Johto starters could get variants. But what I think, also kind of spitballing from there, and I'm probably getting carried away, I'm probably going too far with this, but I think what could be interesting from there is, obviously, I'm pretty sure all of the Johto starters were Dex Snap Pokemon. So, could that be a possibility? Dex Snap Pokemon were obtainable in Alola, but they weren't, if I'm not 100% sure on this, I don't think they're leaving VGC. I don't think they're counted as part of the Alolan Dex, are they? Not 100% sure on that. They're not exactly like natural Pokemon to Alola, are they? Anyway, that's the point. They're not really native, but they're there. And so what I wonder is maybe what we could see in these other games, if they're set either in the future or in an alternate timeline, however it is, whether they could say, hey look, these Pokemon that were in the Dex Snap before, they were actually really, really rare and were just starting to migrate over to Alola. And now, 10 years, 20 years down the line, however long it's been in these games or in this alternate timeline, these Pokemon have actually settled there, bred, adapted, and we could see Alolan forms for every Pokemon that was in the Dex Snap. Or every Pokemon that's in Dex Snap could now be available, some with Alolan forms, some stayed the same. So, for example, like the Johto starters have all become native there and all got Alolan forms. Maybe they're still only given to you by the Professor or something rather than being wild, but whereas, like, I think Solosis is also a Dex Snap Pokemon. Maybe Solosis has settled there but hasn't adapted. Maybe Skarmory has lived there for so long, it's got an Alolan form. Do you see what I'm saying? They could kind of tie this all in. I don't know. I feel Johto is going to get some love. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking they're going to set it up so they're testing things that they're going to bring back on the Switch, whether it's through a Sinnoh remake or whether it's through a Kanto remake. Because the more I think about it, the more I think I don't feel like they can launch the Switch with a Sinnoh remake. I don't think it's a big enough pull, it's not a brand new game. At the same time, I feel like, will they be able to bring back some of those fans that they want to bring back with a brand new game? Maybe the happy medium is to relaunch Kanto. It's been so long since they've done it, they're going to keep us happy, they're going to bring back the old fans. I don't know, that's how I'm kind of feeling. And then the other thing, kind of moving away from all that speculation, is gyms. Gyms have obviously been a huge talking point. And I think that's interesting too. I think that, for me, I think gyms will come back. I think gyms will come back probably in this game. It might be it might be that they do remake Kanto and they then have gyms on the Switch or whatever. But I think they'll probably bring it back in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Obviously, you've got the plots of land, which everyone's talking about. It does feel a little bit obvious. Like, it does feel a bit like that's what they want us to think, because obviously they like to catch us off guard. And it does feel a bit like that's straight away where your brain goes. You see plots of land. There's 7. I know if you've seen other people's videos, there's sort of 7 and 1 that people are kind of suggesting might be a plot of land, but it's too small. I can't remember now where it is, but I feel like it is too obvious. But at the same time, I can't imagine them having more totem Pokemon. I feel like all of the totem Pokemon that were in the game were really good and they really worked because they were fresh and they were new. But if suddenly I go back and there's Totem Toucannon and Totem Crabrawler, or Totem mine's gone blank now, or another Totem Mimikyu, that's what I was going to say, then I feel like that would just be a little bit wouldn't be fresh and new. It wouldn't be as exciting. I know you say, well, gyms aren't exciting. Gyms aren't fresh and new. We've had them for however many generations, and you're right. But I don't know. I just feel like that would give me a motive to play back through Alola. For me, I'm going to do it anyway. Don't get me wrong. But if I could play back through and take on gyms with the trial captains as gym leaders, or with the Kahunas as the Elite Four, you know, and this kind of thing. Obviously, the Kahunas I think will be the Elite Four, though it might be slightly different. Then that would be real fresh for the Alola region, if not fresh for the franchise, if that makes sense. I'm going to turn that. Sorry, that song was a little bit louder. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Yeah, so, and by the way, all the music in the background, I'm going to link it in the description. I just wanted something a bit different playing rather than just the theme tune for the game or the soundtrack for the game. So all the music will be linked in the description. It's all from a playlist from a YouTuber called Bearded Skull, I think. Yeah, Bearded Skull. It's just some nice, relaxed kind of like hip hop beats. I don't know. I think it's fun to have in the background when you're grinding. You know, something just easy listening. But anyway, back to the point. So one of the things in the trailer that people are pointing at is the Lycanroc, Mimikyu, and Togedemaru cutscene, and they're sort of saying, like they're going to be totem Pokemon. It's a totem cutscene that. How fast is Josana? Is she going to be able to run away from things? Yeah, they're sort of saying, it's going to be a totem Mimikyu, totem Lycanroc, and totem Togedemaru with others maybe, and that's why they have these cutscenes. And I just think I'm not entirely sure I agree with that. And I've seen a couple of other people who are suggesting instead that it could be they're going to get species-specific Z moves, like Snorlax's Pulverizing Pancake. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure about that. That's what I think. When Lycanroc jumps up into Sun, people are saying, look, Sun, Ultra Sun, Sun Variant, Ultra Form, must be a new Lycanroc form, and yeah, that's going to get you lots of views, and yeah, it's going to get lots of hype, but do they really believe that? I'm not sure. I'm not naming any names, obviously, but I'm not really sure they do. I think the more the connection is, look, it's Lycanroc's midday form that we see jumping in front of the Sun. There's an obvious correlation there already. You don't need to start clutching at straws and being like, what is his link to the Sun? It must be a new Ultra form. No, he's the midday form. He's already tied to the Sun. And if he had a specific Z move, I would expect that to be related to the Sun in some way, I guess. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump up by the Sun before he came down and executed the Z move. And the same with Mimikyu, like Mimikyu showing his eyes from underneath. If someone said you designed Mimikyu a Z move just for him, just for him, that's what I'd say. I'd say something about him revealing his true form to the opponent. We've seen it in the anime with Meowth, has seen his true form a couple of times and been nearly killed by it, I think. So yeah, that's a logical place for them to go for me with a Mimikyu specific Z move. The Togedemaru thing, we see nothing. It's just an angry face, so you can't really speculate on that. But the other two, they make a lot of sense to me. And that's what I was going to say as well, is that we're talking about the Chinese leaks that came out before the games and how I think that could lead to more Kanto variants for Alolan Pokemon. Well, I also think that could be sort of linked to Lycanroc getting this specific Z move, because in the Chinese leaks, I'm not 100% sure, but if I remember right, it said that Rockruff, I think specifically, and its evolution line shared something in common with the starters from Alola and their evolution lines, and everyone went crazy and was like, split evolution lines for the starters. If you level them up at day or at night, you can get different Pokemon different evolutions for the starters. If you haven't seen this already, basically the rules of this, everything has to be fully healed before I can deposit in the PC to restore PP, so that's what I'm just doing. Back to the point. So if they kind of had, they're going to have split evolutions and all this, and then they didn't, And I think that instead what we're going to see is these specific Z moves, because the Alolan starters already got that, obviously. They had, I'm trying to remember the names now, Decidueye's Spirit Shackle, that got a specific Z move, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the name of it now. Primarina's Sparkling Area, is it? That got one. It was like a Siren Song type Z move. Again, I can't remember. I mean, I never use these Z moves. They're so specific. I don't imagine many people use them. And yeah, so I think that Lycanroc could get its Z move that I think maybe it was supposed to have in the original game. I think maybe in Sun and Moon it was supposed to have this. Just like, or maybe the Chinese leaked a whole load of information that was going to be spread out across the two games. So maybe Alolan Alakazam was originally meant to be in the game, maybe it wasn't. Maybe Rockruff was supposed to have its evolution line and specific Z moves, maybe it wasn't. If you think about it, Rockruff is the Pokemon that Professor Kukui uses to, one, demonstrate Z moves to us, and two, to talk about moves and learn about moves. So again, its evolutionary line seems so closely tied to Z moves, just through Professor Kukui, I guess, and the Chinese leagues, and yet it didn't get one. So that's why I'm thinking that's what that animation is. I don't know. The more I talk about it, the more I'm pretty confident that it's going to have that. And then that brings on the last thing of the crystals, or one of the last things, the crystals in the game, the Z crystals and the Z bracelet, and how the character we see sort of hold his wrist up and he twists the crystal. Z crystal or Z diamond? No, it is crystal, isn't it? And everyone's sort of saying, but it's different because it has like a slightly different shape. If I can, I'll show it on screen now. But it has a slightly different shape. It's sort of pointed at 4 points at each end, so it ends up having 3, 5. I think it has about 8 points on it instead of just 4. And everyone's saying, is it a Ultra Evolution? Is it Mega Evolution and Z moves combined? Is it just Z moves? What is it? Honestly, on that one, I do not have a Scooby-Doo. Not at all. And not a clue on that one. That one baffles me. I would say, like, I think it's a specific Z crystal for specific moves, but Pulverizing Pancake had the same shape as Z crystal, so it would be a bit weak of them to start introducing that kind of thing now. So yeah, I'm not really sure on that. I think we could see Mega Evolution be involved. I'd be surprised if we don't. We saw Colress there, obviously, who I'm going to get onto in a minute. We saw Colress there, and so he sort of mentioned Mega Evolution. He was like, Z Power, is this the power I'm looking for? Does it beat even Mega Evolution? Honestly, I think Mega Evolution was more powerful than Z Power. People might disagree with me. To me, like, Mega Kangaskhan is way more broken than a Devastating Drake or a Hydro Vortex. Having your Pokemon buffed for as long as the battle as you can keep it alive compared to one turn that can sort of be protected. I know it goes through Protect. So I feel like he's there searching for this power. He knows about Mega Evolution. How far behind the times can Alola really be? Like, I feel like I'm going to have to layer this to save. Oh no, I can bring in Mardu if need be. I feel like Mega Evolution is going to play a part. I think they're going to bring it back. I don't think every generation now is going to have a new gimmick. I don't think so. In the old games, you'd have things like Pokemon contests and all these weird things. Each generation had a different gimmicky side quest. Battle Royale is the one in this game that springs to mind, although I like Battle Royale, but I don't think we're suddenly going to not only have that, but we're also going to have either Mega Evolution or Primal Reversion or Z moves or a different gimmicky thing, because Pokemon want to establish VGC and the sort of competitive esports side of Pokemon as a major thing, I think. And I think changing it every single year with a new gimmick is going to ruin it for people. I think people are going to eventually just be like, nah, this is crazy. You can't keep introducing all these new weird things, because sometimes it's not going to work. It's going to fail. So far they got it right. I think Mega Evolution worked. I think Z moves have worked, but Pokemon wants longevity. They can't keep completely flipping the format with things like that. They can flip it with new Pokemon, obviously, but not with things like that, in my opinion. So I think we will see Mega Evolution come back. I think that we will see Z moves return, and I think that they're going to be probably late game. Like obviously, I think that they introduced it too early in Kalos, like in X and Y. I think once you got Mega Evolution, you got Mega Lucario. Like it was just the game was so easy. And Sun and Moon went some way to making it harder, I guess. Excuse me. The games were marginally harder, but I think it'll be late game. And I hope, to be honest, I hope Z moves are later game as well, because I feel like Z moves kind of broke the game a little bit as well. So yeah, I'd like to see something a little bit different. A little bit different with the storyline. I think they're good additions, but I don't know. Even at the very least, like, I guess if it's post game again, it could work. But I think they'll want to introduce new Mega Evolutions at some point. And people talking about Ultra Evolutions, I don't think that'll happen. It's too much. It's too confusing. Exactly what I was saying before. It's going to break the format for VGC. It's already going to like break things for singles and doubles just on Battlespot. Like I don't think they can do it. But I think that they'll just keep Mega Evolutions going, and I think that people saying that the new Solgaleo and new Lunala, with their kind of bits coming off them everywhere of Necrozma. I thought that was a Hoppip. I was not paying attention. Whoops! I shouldn't have switched in on this. Yeah, we're alright. Hopefully. Will we? Yeah. Mardu's a beast. No problem. Easy peasy. So I guess yes, level 3 Surskit and I'm panicking. That's what a Nuzlocke does to you, I guess. Yeah, sorry, back to the point. So easily sidetracked. The new forms of Solgaleo and Lunala, I don't think that they're going to be Ultra Evolutions. I don't think they're going to be evolutions at all. People saying that they're going to be this Prism armor because of Necrozma's ability, I'm not buying that either. That seems so weird to me. Like what? Unless it's a... Okay, here's how I could see it working is when you battle them, it could say like Ultra Lunala wants to battle, and then when you get his HP below a certain point, maybe it says shields down type thing, you know, like Minior's ability, and suddenly its defenses drop, like Wishy-Washy, for example, its stats just plummet because you break off its prison armor. That could be possible in game. I don't think you'll be able to catch that and use that. I don't think that's going to be something we're going to see on Battlespot. I'm not sure it works with the DNA splicers. If it does, that's how I think it will be. I think you will have a Pokemon that will have boosted defenses maybe, or boosted speed, however it works. And then once you get below a certain HP, its Prism Armor falls off, shields down, schooling, whatever it's called. And then it would just be back to normal Lunala or normal Solgaleo. And I just don't think that's how they'll go with it. That's the only way I could see them going, with that kind of Prism Armor tangent, if you like, or thing. But I see it more likely being that it's just something in the game, that's static in the game, that you beat it and it has a name like Kyurem Black or Kyurem White or whatever it was called now, I can't remember, in Black and White 2, and it's just an alternate form, and maybe the DNA splicers are involved, maybe Colress is involved, but everyone is saying that. Everyone, and I understand why, because that was my first instinct, is you see it and you see Colress in the Alola region. He seems to be there for no reason other than to give you a TM. And then suddenly we see a game with fused Pokemon. And the natural reaction, the knee-jerk reaction, is to be like, DNA splicers. They've clearly been spliced together. Colress is behind it. To be fair, I could see Colress being a leader of the Aether Foundation. His kind of aesthetic, his clothing, his style, the way he presents himself, the way he seems quite amiable until he just switches on you. I can kind of see it. I can see him fit with the Aether Foundation. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, maybe not with Lusamine, but with him. That would be my guess. But it does feel so obvious. It does feel so like that's what he did with Team Plasma. That's what he did with Kyurem, Reshiram, and Zekrom. Is it too obvious? Is it just too on the nose? Is it too like it all fits so sweetly? And my experience of Game Freak and Pokemon and Nintendo is it rarely does. It rarely is that straightforward. So I don't know. My suspicion is that they've still got a few surprises. A few surprises. I'm new to this, can you tell? Talking that long. Oh, I'm bound to get my words jumbled. Yeah, I think they're bound to have a few surprises though. I think that there's going to be something that catches us out, and I think the DNA splicers could be that thing. I think that the DNA splicers and how this Necrozma, Solgaleo, Lunala thing happens, I think that could be it. What interests me is Necrozma is constantly being linked with the Ultra Beast. And if my understanding of the late game of Sun and Moon is right, Lusamine kind of fuses with the Poison Rock Ultra Beast, whose name eludes me at the minute. Nihilego, right? Lusamine kind of fuses with Nihilego, and if Ultra Beasts are capable of doing that, one, are we going to get to see the kind of Gladium Buzzswole connection? Are we going to get to see Lily and Nihilego? Are we going to get to see any of the other Ultra Beasts fuse with people? Are we going to see, what was the first Kahuna called? And people were saying Guzzlord was resembling him on Melee Island. Anyway, are we going to start to see those kind of fusions with people happening? Or is that how Necrozma fused with Solgaleo and Lunala? And that actually would be my guess. I think the Colress could take over Team Aether. Oh, it's Team Aether, the Aether Foundation. But I don't think he's going to use DNA splicers. I think Necrozma, because of its connection to the Ultra Beast, because of its ability to a prism, obviously you put light through a prism and it refracts, and that's where you get the different colours from. So prisms have this ability to distort light. Well, the sun generates light and obviously the moon reflects light. Both of them have their radiant sun and radiant moon, or whatever it is. I can't remember the exact wording. One of them's radiant and the other one's something else. Phases or forms, the two legendaries. So they're clearly both very important to do with light. They glow when they're in these other phases or these other forms. Is it simply that they are going to get like filtered through Necrozma almost? It's going to be, rather than a DNA splice, rather than a man-made abomination, rather than a Kyurem being forced together, rather than being this kind of thing that we've seen from Nintendo before, is it going to be a more natural process? Is it going to be Necrozma almost infiltrating these Pokemon, being filtered through him? Is it going to be that kind of thing, an organic situation rather than an artificial one? I think that could be how it goes as well. That would probably be my guess for that situation. I don't think it's going to be a primal reversion or anything of that nature. I don't think it's going to be an ultra evolution. It doesn't fit with me. It doesn't look like that to me. That's my thoughts anyway. To be honest, we're probably going to end this here. That's everything I really had to talk about. What I really want to know is I want to know everyone else's opinions too, because the thing is, I didn't watch the trailer and come up with all of this kind of extended, all of this extended theory on my own. I had to kind of watch and research and read and look at what everyone else was saying, because there's so many YouTubers out there with arguably much more informed opinions than me that they've been doing YouTube for a long time. This is my second episode. I read a lot, I watched a lot to kind of form my own opinions, to think about it for myself. And I know that all of you will have been doing exactly that. I know that all of you will have been sitting there at home watching these people, I think I watched, off the top of my head, I watched Hoodlum Scrafty talk about it, Game Boy Luke talk about it, I watched, Twintendo talk about it, I watched literally tens and dozens, loads. I watched Whoopsar talk about it. I saw Shady Penguin tweet about it. I watched Melisify make a video about it. I've sort of been, studying everybody else's content, seeing what everybody else is kind of thinking, and I'm starting to form my own opinions. Ace Trainer Liam, I think I saw Spectre tweet about it. And these are all YouTubers that I really admire, but I also, I know that you guys do too, and I know that you guys watch all this stuff, and that you will have your own thoughts that aren't going to get on YouTube if you don't comment, if you don't tell people, if you don't, put them out here. And this is such a tiny, tiny channel. If you do put something up, I would absolutely love to see it. I'd absolutely love to read it. I will probably discuss it in future videos. If you have any opinions that you want to say, hey, what do you think about this? 100%, like the next episode that I record, I say like person X, Y, or Z commented on this video and they said this, and we can have a chat about it. I want this to be a laid back kind of place. I'm a very laid back kind of person. I want you guys to be able to just come here, watch these videos, chill, and converse about things. So 100%, please do leave your opinions. I think I've probably stressed that enough, but please leave your opinions, get the conversation going, and I'll gladly have a look at them and have a chat with you. And similarly as well, if you're just here for the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon stuff, by all means click away now, because I'm just going to go back to our kind of main series, our Dr. Lock that's going on, our Nuzlocke. In that series, we're naming Pokemon using a random name generator. If you want to leave a comment and you want a Pokemon named after you, please do. Just comment and just say, hey, can I have a Pokemon named after me? My name's whatever. Then yeah, 100%. I have absolutely no problem with that. I'm only using the random name generator because when I posted the first video, I had 0 viewers. I had 0 viewers, 0 comments, 0 subscribers. I had no one to name anything after. But if you want it, just say, and there's not going to be a lot of you, admittedly, so you will get something named after you more than likely. And I'd love that. I'd love to do that. I'd love to name it after you guys. But yeah, with that, I think I'm going to end that there. Thank you so much for coming and loafing around with me and just chilling. As I said, if you've enjoyed any of the music in the background, let me know. If you like this kind of video, please let me know. I'd love to make more discussion videos about stuff as Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon get more and more revealed. I'd love to make these videos with just some nice beats, a nice bit of chatting, maybe some grinding on screen for you to watch, or you can click off, whatever. And if you did like the music, it's all by a YouTuber called Bearded Skull. It will be linked down in the description. Check it out. It's all good stuff. Cheers. Thank you for joining me.